Alright, alright, hi, hello. Welcome back to another r/Nosleep video. Like the last video, I'm gonna keep it short. I was gonna say, this video is unedited. Um, it's unedited, so if you hear me, cough, stutter, mumble, get lost reading a word, this is all unedited, so hopefully you all still enjoy. So we're gonna get right into it. So, the first story for today. The Haunting. Okay, so for some context with the entity that I had experience with, the Haunting. The Haunting is a ghost slash spirit type creature that comes from Algerian folklore. People don't tend to believe folklore, but I can tell you that this creature is very much real, as it nearly took my life. Anyway, I'm getting off track. The Haunting is a ghost slash spirit creature that comes after people who desecrate graves of those who were of importance. If anyone in a group destroys said important graves, even if the others in the group did not, the Haunting will not stop at nothing until everyone is dead. The Haunting also has the power to possess people and become a physical being. The key way to figure out if someone has been possessed by the Haunting is the person's question is rotting alive. This is because, based off of my research, the Haunting is super radioactive. My story began with my two friends, Zach and Brad, and my brother Atlas. And I, which I would like to remain anonymous, were hiking through the woods on a Friday evening, when we had been about 6 hours away from the car at the time, and we were hiking up a hill that the locals had titled Mount Haunting. After hiking about 4.5 miles, Brad said that we should set up camp. After setting up camp, we started drinking some beer and smoking pot. Later, while all of us were high and drunk, Atlas being the most intoxicated, admitted to desecrating some graves earlier that day along the trail. We all scolded him for being so foolish and disrespectful to the dead, when we suddenly heard a deafening crunch coming from deep within the forest. We all, except Atlas, rushed into our tent. Atlas was sitting by the fire, muttering and chattering to himself, when we suddenly saw a humanoid shadow cast onto the tent wall. Walking slowly over to where Atlas was completely unaware of what was going on, and what happened next still chills me to my core to this day. The Shadow Man made his way to Atlas when he extended a massive claw about a foot long and tore Atlas' head clean off. We all went fanatic and booked it to the car and drove off, not stopping until we made it well out of town. After a completely silent car ride, we eventually made it to a nearby police station. Brad and I turned around to ask if Zach was all good, only to find him rotting alive. Brad immediately booked it for the station, and I was soon behind him. When we made it to the station, we frantically explained all that had happened to us to the only officer who was there at the time. Unfortunately, he didn't believe a word we said, and he started laughing and told us we needed to lay off the crack. As Brad and I stood there, bewildered at his response, Zach broke into the building through the brick wall nearest to the front door. The officer immediately started shooting at him, but his bullets did little to slow down the possessed Zach. And he went over to the officer, where he ripped his head clean off. It has been about 2 weeks. Brad and I have been on the road non-stop since that night. We haven't told many people, mostly because nobody will believe us. But I write this here because, as far as I know, there may be a similar story to one on the site. I want the story to remain here because, frankly, we don't have too much longer, and I would like others to know of our unfortunate circumstances, and I hope you avoid the same fate as I. Okay, so that was the first story. That was posted by Sir Reginald 3 2 hours ago. Honestly, I give the story a solid 6 out of 10. It wasn't the fact that it was scary. It was just more kind of like rushed, I believe. But I think in the way of storytelling, though, it's like he just wanted to get it out. So, if he does eventually die to the haunting, um, story is just out there. So I think it also matches the formats and everything. I'll give it a vote. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so on to the next story. Don't Look Left. This was posted by u/Olivia __. 22 hours ago. And this won a All Seeing Upvote award. So, this is going to be pretty good. So, when I was in college, I decided to tag along on a spontaneous trip to Thailand with a group of girlfriends. Despite my fairly serious travel and flight anxiety, the idea of 10 days in the gorgeous Phuket seemed like experience of a lifetime, a memory that will stay with me forever, and in a way, I was all too correct. The first few days were incredible, drinking fruity cocktails on private beaches, tasting the authentic Thai cuisine, and I won't lie, I may have had a bit too much fun in the bar scene. However, what I was really looking forward to was the excursion on the 5th day. A kayaking tour and booze cruise through the caves of Phang Nga Nha Bay. The morning of the excursion, we all loaded up on beer and wine coolers and excitedly hopped on the bus towards the tour company. The boat was 3 stories. The food was exceptional, and the views were second to none. The 8 of us fried in the sun on the roof of the boat, taking pictures to post on Instagram and tossing empty balls into bins, all anxiously awaiting what we all had decided would be the best part of the trip. The boat slowed down beside a massive array of cliffs, and we all began to search the flat mass of flat rocks for whatever cave we'd been entering. But we saw no opening. I asked one of the guides where the cave was, expecting a typical large tunnel to enter, and he pointed to a small, maybe 3 feet tall and 7 feet wide opening at the base of the cliff. My breath caught in my throat at the sight. I asked if maybe the tide was too high, and there was no way we were going through that. I was met with a smile and a chuckle from the guide who returned to preparing the kayaks. We all split into groups of 4, 2 girls and 1 guide per kayak, and loaded onto the yellow inflatable boats. I grabbed the arm of a girl who looked equally as nervous as I did and asked if she'd like to go together. We quickly realized we were the only ones feeling the anxiety of such claustrophobia. We all settled in, armed only with bikinis, sunglasses, and a stranger with a paddle, and moved towards the first cave. My kayak led the pack, heading in first. The guide instructed us to lay flat on our backs to enter the cave. I laid my head on the legs of the girl behind me and struggled to breathe. We entered the mouth and we were struck by a gorgeous opening, beyond tall enough for us to sit comfortably. The walls had a crystalline surface that was illuminated by the headlamp our guide aimed around. Stalactites clung from the ceiling high above us. The guide slapped the water, and hundreds of glittering blue spots filled the space next to us. Bioluminescent plankton illuminated the room like stars. Seeing the amount of space and intricate scenery, I began to relax. As we moved forward, the guide instructed us to lay back. Again. I looked forward and realized that we were entering a tight tunnel. My anxiety spiked. I've always been claustrophobic. I can't even stand elevators, let alone this tunnel that didn't even look like it could fit the kayak. Especially not with us atop it. I asked the guide how long this particular cave was, and he told me that we will be through in about 5 minutes. It's strange how much time slows down when you enter survival mode. 5 minutes can seem like hours when you believe your time is up. The walls of the section were somehow even tighter than the entrance. It was pitch black, save for the occasional view from the headlamp. I had to squeeze my shoulders back and suck in my stomach as far as I could. But I could still feel the presence of a solid, thick wall suffocating me from all my sides. A hot breath bounced back into my face off the stone directly above me. I tried to focus on the sounds of the moving water. The slap of the paddle behind us by a guide who, even completely horizontal, was still skilled enough to keep us moving forward. Until sounds of the water stopped. So did the boat. I could hear a rock scratching rubber on my own rapid breathing as I realized we had gotten stuck, lodged against the tight walls of what I believed would surely become my tomb. In an attempt to relax, I released my stomach. Immediately, I felt a piercing sensation from a low-hanging stalactite that attempted to bury itself in my gut. I let a half-gasp, half yelp. That must have startled my guide, because I felt a quick movement. Heard the crunching of glass against stone, and then a small amount of light provided by a headlamp was gone. A string of what I can only imagine was harsh curse words followed. Then more scraping and paddling, frantic this time, trying to release us from the rocks, save us from what seemed like fate of being buried alive in a grave of crystal and salt water. A stone dislodged in front of me, and a splash, the shallow water erupted with a glow of plankton. In that short moment, I looked to my left. Beside us was a small tunnel at eye level. What I saw in that brief flash of blue light will stick with me forever. To say it was human would be generous, though it looked like it may have been once. It squatted on its mangled feet, its arms stretched out for support, and its hands looked puckered and pruned as it soaked in water for long. The skin could fall off the bone. Dirt and weeds were embedded in its long razor-sharp claws. Its skin was ghostly pale, and deep green and purple lesions littering its skin. The body was so thin you can distinctly see ribs and bone through stretched skin. Dark, wet, matted hair hung low, covering most but not all of his face. A face that will haunt me for a lifetime. The eyes were pure white, with no pupil. Cheeks so sunken it looked almost skeletal. It had no discernible nose, just a hole, as if the cartilage has fallen off. I swear on my life, as I caught that glimpse, the thing smiled at me. As it did, it revealed a bloody mouth with yellow teeth like knives. The lack of lips led me to believe that creature may have chewed them off itself. I tried to scream, to call out, to do anything at the sight, but all that air had escaped my lungs. I struggled to inhale as the guide finally dislodged the kayak and sent us forward. My mind raced as I thought of what I had just seen. What I might say or even do. With my mind going a mile a minute, the only words I could manage to breathlessly get out were to ask if there was any animals in the cave. Only the crabs and the bats, the guide told me. Well, and us. And he kept paddling along. We exited the tunnel into a more spacious area, and I was able to sit up again. I started to tell myself that the being must have been a trick of the light, a hallucination created by my fear of the caves and tight spaces. That was when, still surrounded by the pure darkness, I felt two hands grip my shoulders. I let out a shrill yelp before my friend, of course it was just her, leaned in my ear and asked the worst question I'd ever been asked. You saw it too, didn't you? Blazing hot tears filled my eyes. It felt like all the air was sucked out of the room. I leaned over to the side of the boat and emptied my contents in my stomach. All I could repeat over and over again was that we had to get out of here. We had to get out. We had to. The guide, who must have mistaken my panic for claustrophobia, told us that the only way out was forward, and we were halfway through. The cave was a perfect U shape, in and out on the same cliffside. The guide began to turn us left towards our exit. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. A few tight spaces then, and I'd be out. I'd be safe. I had another wine cooler to calm down the nerves, and I would never think about this cave again. That's how it would be. That's how it had to be. We moved forward, out of the base of the U, into another small tunnel on the final stretch. Instinctively, I once again lay back and hold my breath, making my body as small as possible through the small, smothering confined space. I sobbed silently to myself, wanting nothing more than be back on a spacious boat on the gorgeous sea that I would never see again. I would never see the same again. We float for about 30 seconds more, and then once again, like clockwork, I hear the scraping of rubber and rock, feeling a stop or forward motion. A grotesque and distorted hissing noise fills the air, and I feel every hair on my body stand to an end. I'm even more horrifyingly aware of how small the space is that the hairs on my arms stretch out to touch the walls that trap me in my own personal hell. A bright light strikes the side of my face. I look over to see the headlamp of a guide from one of the kayaks that trail behind us. The light finds us through a tunnel in the U-bend. The same tunnel where I saw that. That thing just minutes before, it all happened so quickly. And there's a scream and a loud pop of an inflatable kayak as my guide begins to scream at us. Don't look left! Whatever you do, don't look left! He's only a split second too late, as I see a nightmarish abomination leap at the other kayak from the tunnel. As the girls and guides scream for mercy, I shut my eyes as tight as I can, but there is no point. In an instant, the headlamp of the other guy goes dark. The only light illuminates from the glowing blue water of the startled plankton. The sounds never seem to end. The screams stop, but they are quickly replaced by thrashing and ripping. I hear the carving of skin, the crunching of bone through razor-sharp fangs. The once happy laughs of my friends have been replaced by gurgling and sputtering, gasping for any last breath that they could find. Sounds that I will hear forever, every time I close my eyes. Every night while I try to escape to sleep that is riddled with nightmares. The hellish sounds fill the entire cave. And then silence. The loudest silence I have ever heard. And it was over. Including the guides, 12 of us entered that cave, but only 9 came out. The first 3 kayaks returned us safely to the boat as the guides returned to the cave looking for our fallen friends, to no avail. After hours of searching and sobbing, the sun set, and we were forced to return to shore, silently in shock. We gave our statements to the Thai police until the sunrise, before returning to our hotel. For my own sanity, I lied and told them that I saw nothing. I couldn't retell what I saw and heard until now. I regret it every day. A proper search party was sent to the cave, but they found nothing. There were no answers, no signs that they were ever there. No signs of anything. For the safety of others, the cave had since been sealed. The cave has since been sealed, forever their tomb. Okay, so, are you scared? I understand why that story got the all-time upvote. That was amazing. Okay, so that was Don't Look Left. Okay, so I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. You know, if you all enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. That tells me you guys want more of this. Also, comment down below if you guys want me to keep making the 2 stories. You guys want me to make the 4. If I do make the 4, I could probably just do that maybe once a week. But I can keep doing a little 2. I know it's kind of weird, but for those who don't know, this is streamed live on Twitch. I have been live for 2 hours already, so my voice is kind of shot, and all that stuff. So yeah. But if you guys want to see more, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah. I also want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the videos recently. And yeah. Okay, I don't want to keep you guys here any longer. Thank you guys so much for watching the videos, and you know, hopefully I see you guys next time. And so, bye everyone.